So with that, I've sped through this as fast as I could because I want to welcome Pan Vera, and his expertise is in nonviolent communication, how to communicate with grace, which is as intricate and complex as is learning about your energy field, because this isn't something that we're taught as I feel we should be in our families from the time that we toddle and we first learn how to talk in nursery school, in elementary school, in high school, and college. There is literally zero information, and it is such an important part of life. So Pan is going to talk to us about learning to use language and establishing clear and personal boundaries, and probably more. And then he's got a language for lovers upcoming event that I hope we'll have enough time for him to share. So with that, I'm going to stop the sharing of my presentation. And there's Pan. Pan, thank you. Welcome, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here now.
When Marshall was talking about his process, like I said, 5 minutes, I knew it was the best tool for peace I'd ever seen. Basically, what he was offering was a way for people to talk about what we agree on. And in our normal dominator language, where we criticize and analyze and diagnose and judge and blame and shame, it's guaranteed to destroy connection, sadly. But he had this very simple process: observation, feeling, need, request. So I realized right away it was really powerful. And then 5 minutes later, I realized that the way that I spoke didn't match my spiritual beliefs at all. He asked us to write down something that happened and then share our feeling. And I said, well, I felt criticized. And he said, that's not a feeling. Well, I felt judged. And he said, that's not a feeling. And I think I threw something else out. It was really a description of what other people do to me, not a feeling at all. So I had a lot to learn about that, and I did. After a while, I decided to become a trainer, and Marshall recommended this book to me called The Future of Love by Daphne Kingsma. And in that book, she talks about the 7 stages of relationship. And I just want to share what they are. I won't go into detail on it. But the first stage is romance, moonlight, and red roses. We just fall in love with someone and we think they're perfect and they're going to make us happy for the rest of our lives. Well, that's what the hormones told us, but our soul had a different idea. We actually found the person who's most likely to drive us crazy in the way that we need to grow. We don't know that yet. The second thing we do is we make a commitment, a pledge, and we imagine that every need that we have will finally be met in grand style. Don't count on it. Third, we have a crisis, a crack in the vase, where all of a sudden we realize that we're 2 different people and the veil of romantic illusion is lifted, and how are we going to handle this reveal? Typically, we handle it by the ordeal, the power struggle, where things come up that are going to be part of the relationship for its entire existence. And the romance is no longer being carried on the wings of romance and great expectations. It's dragged down by disappointment and feelings of being out of control. And if you're courageous, you can start looking at yourself. Sometimes a transformation to authentic love and acceptance can occur. After that, then we have chaos. We give up the idea that we can change this person and make them perfect for us, which results in all kinds of disconnection. Really, though, we're at its point where we can have spiritual growth. So the 6th stage is where we surrender. We give up expectations, we give way to the process, and often in the minute of surrender, light begins to dawn on the relationship. Patterns emerge, sight is clear, the value of the chaos is realized, and we're born anew in the relationship and in our lives. Then we transform into true love, unconditional acceptance, a great deal of joy about the things that used to drive us crazy, and total love and belonging together. So we could learn this in school. It's not difficult. It's pretty easy to lay out. It's hard to believe when you're in your 20s because we have been misled. But really, the most powerful thing you can do in your life, I believe, is to have a truly loving, intimate relationship. So I spent 46 years being married. People say, ooh, until I say, but there were 4 different women that I was married to, 10 years each plus. And so I'm one of those people who learn from my mistakes. And I have been teaching this Language for Lovers course since 2004. And I haven't saved every marriage. Some marriages are not going to be saved. You're better off finding someone that you can carry on the journey of the 7 stages with someone else. But most of them are deeply satisfied with their relationship after they've taken this course. I was attending one of these masterminds, and I was chatting away, and suddenly somebody says, Pan's stuff is really great. We've been doing what he suggested 10 years ago, and we just loved each other more than ever. So I had to reach out to her and talk to her and her husband, and they had been told by 3 therapists they should get divorced. They learned how to talk to each other with those 4 simple tools so they could really connect, love, and understand each other. That's what I offer in this Language for Lovers class, the combination of learning how to use nonviolent communication. I call it life-serving communication because when Marshall started out and he said nonviolence, people thought of Gandhi and Martin Luther King. And nowadays, when I use that term, they say, oh, I don't need that. I don't beat my wife. But it's really about life-serving communication, how to love yourself, how to love others, how to communicate in ways where everyone's needs are being met. And that is what I have to offer. And when I enjoy with deep bliss, when I can help people connect with each other and learn what I think they should have learned in kindergarten. No. So that's kind of what I have to say. And I do have a link to a handbook, which will give you a little bit of idea in 2 pages what nonviolent communication.
I put it in already, but go ahead.
All right.
Again.
Okay, there it is. No, you got it. I see it. Well, just in case somebody came in just now. No, it looks like it's there. So I really liked very much what you had to say about dating. It was very insightful for me. And I think that people do very, very well to have the kind of understanding that you're going to offer in your trainings. Relationship is challenging. It's meant to be that way. But with acceptance, love, and care, it can be the most profound spiritual path you could follow. So I highly recommend it. And I was particularly delighted to see your explanation of the 17, I think it was, chakras and how they relate to each other. And I learned quite a few things from you during this process. So I'm really glad that you reached out and invited me to come here today. I celebrate what you have to offer people. Thank you so much.
It's so important, Pan, and I appreciate that you're looking. I'm really into the energy field and to this biospiritual dynamics and what happens in the DNA. And I've got a holistic product, and that all sounds very mindy, but it isn't.
Yeah.
I'm really absolutely coming from a 15th chakra and body perspective.
Yeah.
And I started my organization, which is a legacy project for me, Living Lessons Library, because people do need to know about this information more than ever.
Yeah.
Young children can learn this. Their parents can learn this. They can practice this together. I did this with my kids, right?
Yeah.
And it was instinctive. It was just, this is what I'm going to choose and do.
Absolutely.
It needs to be more than instinctive.
Yeah. And what's interesting about the correlation between what you just said is what I like to say about nonviolent communication. It's fundamentally not mental. You really have to get into your body, which has so much wisdom. And our emotions are not meaningless and off the wall and so on and so forth. They are there for a very important reason. They're there to draw our attention to whether or not our life is joyful or sad. And when we pay attention to them, then we know that there are these needs, these values that are so central to enjoying life. And we feel miserable when we don't have them, and we feel fantastic when we do have them. But most people don't know what they are. And that's sad. So that's why I do what I
They
do.
become a soup instead of a salad.
Exactly. Yeah, I love that.
Soup is great. It serves a purpose. But a salad, when you can distinguish every taste and every flavor and add different elements to your salad that change the way that you experience those ingredients, the ability to be distinct and specific and discerning. I like to use the word discernment a lot. A long time ago, I learned to substitute discernment for judgment, for blame, for shame, because discernment allows me to be in the present moment, aware of what I'm feeling, aware of what my body is asking me to consider. Sometimes that discernment invites me to speak. Other times it says, you don't need to say anything. But a lot of times that discernment for me results in a communication of energetic touch and awareness and awakening the energy fields and clearing them and healing them. This is a very profound relationship, because when people come in and they work with me, I will call them out. If discernment says, call this person out, they're acting from their unconscious, they're not awake, they're sleepwalking, I do that. But I do that in a way that's empowering. And I do that in a way that invites compare and contrast. Takes practice. It does take practice.